The phone felt heavier than it should have. My daughter stood in front of me, barefoot on the kitchen tile, her shoulders drawn inward like she was trying to disappear into her own ribs. 8 years old. Too quiet. Her eyes didn't move the way they used to. Quick, curious. They stayed fixed on the floor. "Dad!" A whisper. "I don't ever go back to that house." I didn't ask which house. I already knew. I crouched to her level, kept my voice steady, careful. "What happened?" She didn't answer, just reached into her backpack with small, shaking fingers and pulled out a phone that wasn't hers. My mother-in-law's phone. The screen was already on, unlocked, waiting. My whole body froze. Not panic, recognition. I'd felt it the moment I picked her up. The way she hugged me too tightly. The way she flinched when her grandmother waved from the porch. Something had shifted while I wasn't there. Something quiet. Something deliberate. I took the phone from her hand. Scrolled. Messages, voice notes, photos. Not of my daughter. Of my wife. Smiling, leaning into someone cropped just out of frame. Hotel mirrors. Late-night timestamps. Familiar locations that made my stomach go cold. And beneath them, messages from my mother-in-law. Not concern. Not confusion. Instructions. Delete after reading. He doesn't suspect a thing. You deserve more than him. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. Behind me, the kettle screamed. I turned it off. The sound felt obscene in the silence. My daughter watched my face like she was waiting for permission to be afraid. "It's okay," I said, and meant only that she wasn't in danger anymore. Inside, something else stood up. 8 years of marriage replayed themselves in fragments. Every family weekend I skipped. Every time my wife came home distant after visiting her mother. Every argument that ended with me apologizing just to restore order. I hadn't been married to one person. I'd been managed. I sent my daughter to her room, locked the door behind her, sat at the table with the phone. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I read everything. How long it had been going on. How carefully it had been hidden. How my mother-in-law had used my own child as cover. Summer break. Bonding time. Trust us. Trust. I placed the phone face down, folded my hands. This wasn't going to be loud. It wasn't going to be messy. They thought I was slow, predictable, easy to steer. They were wrong. Very wrong. I didn't confront anyone. That's what they would have expected. Instead, I cleaned the kitchen, loaded the dishwasher, helped my daughter with homework, listened to my wife talk about traffic and grocery prices, like we were still playing the same game. Inside, I was already somewhere else. I waited until everyone slept. Then I took the phone again. I copied everything. Messages, images, audio, dates, patterns. I mapped it all out like a crime. Scene? Because that's what it was. Not passion. Not a mistake. A coordinated betrayal. My wife hadn't just cheated. She'd been coached. I pulled phone records from our shared account. Late-night calls routed through apps she swore she never used. Burner numbers that lit up only when she visited her mother. Hotels booked under her maiden name. Same city. Same weeks. Every summer. Every family visit. I ordered a DNA test. Not because I doubted my daughter. Because I needed to know how far the lie went. While I waited, I watched. I watched my wife mirror my moods, adjust her tone, anticipate my reactions like she always had. She wasn't intuitive. She was trained. 8 years of someone else whispering in her ear, shaping her choices, framing me as the obstacle. I replayed old arguments in my head and saw them clearly for the first time. The phrases that weren't hers. The pauses where she'd glance at her phone before responding. The sudden confidence in moments she used to doubt herself. My mother-in-law had never liked me. I thought it was class, money, control. I underestimated her. She didn't want me gone because I was a bad husband. She wanted me gone because I was in the way. The DNA results arrived on a Tuesday. 99 to 99%. My daughter was mine. That was the last warm thing I felt for a while. Because what came next wasn't about love. It was about exposure. I forwarded the files to a secure drive. Printed copies. Highlighted dates. Built a timeline so clean it looked professional. I even thanked my wife's lover silently. He'd been sloppy. Arrogant men always are. I booked a dinner reservation. Her favorite place. Quiet, dim, private booths. She smiled when I told her, reached for my hand, said she missed us. I let her. Across the table I watched her eat, laugh, lie. When dessert came, I slid an envelope toward her. No speech, no accusation, just paper. She opened it slowly. I saw it in her eyes before she spoke. The exact moment she realized. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was the end. Her hand started shaking. Her mouth opened, then closed. I sipped my drink. Cold, measured. You weren't careful, I said. You were confident. She started to cry. I didn't stop her. I didn't go home after dinner. Neither did she. I dropped her off at her mother's house. The same house my daughter warned me about. The porch light flickered like it always had. A nervous habit disguised as poor wiring. My wife sat frozen in the passenger seat, mascara streaked, hands clenched in her lap, like a child waiting for punishment. Go inside, I said. She didn't move. They already know, I added. They just don't know how much I know. That did it. She stepped out of the car without another word. I waited until the door closed. Then I drove away. Not fast, not angry, focused. The next morning, I sent a single email. No subject line, just attachments. Every message, every photo, every instruction from my mother-in-law. The coaching, the manipulation, the encouragement to lie. I CC'd my wife, her lover, her mother, and, carefully selected, two people my mother-in-law respected more than family. Her church liaison, and her employer. I didn't add commentary. Facts don't need emotion. By noon, my phone started ringing. I didn't answer. At 3, I picked my daughter up from school early. Took her for ice cream. Let her talk about things that still made sense. Cartoons, friends, summer plans that no longer included that house. When we got home, my wife was waiting. She looked smaller, alone. They cut me off, she said. My mother, she won't answer. He blocked me. Everyone knows. I nodded. I didn't mean for it to happen like this, she whispered. That's the problem, I replied calmly. You didn't mean anything. You followed. She tried to explain, blamed years of pressure, a voice in her head that wasn't hers anymore, a need to please a woman who only valued control. I listened. Then I stood. You don't get to be the victim in a story you helped write. The divorce papers were already on the table. She didn't fight them. She couldn't. Later that week, my mother-in-law tried to see my daughter. I met her at the door, alone. She looked at me the way predators do when they realize the prey has teeth. You ruined everything, she said. No, I corrected softly. You exposed it. She opened her mouth. I closed the door. That was the last time I spoke to her. Months later, the house is quiet again. Not peaceful, honest. My daughter sleeps without flinching. I don't check phones anymore. I don't wonder what's happening behind my back. Some betrayals don't break you. They wake you up. Time did what it always does. It revealed what was real by stripping away everything fake. The house changed first, less noise. Fewer apologies floating in the air like smoke. No tension hiding behind smiles. Just quiet mornings and predictable nights. My daughter started laughing again. Real laughter. The kind that doesn't check the room first. She stopped whispering. That mattered more than anything. People asked questions. Friends chose sides. Some disappeared completely. I let them. Anyone who needed an explanation was never really on my side to begin with. I never spoke badly about my ex. I didn't need to. Her silence did enough damage on its own. As for her mother, control doesn't survive daylight. The moment her authority cracked, everything underneath it rotted fast. Reputation, influence, the carefully built image of moral superiority. Gone. Not because I destroyed it, because it was hollow. Sometimes I replay that first moment in my head. My daughter's voice, the phone in her hand. The second my body froze and my mind sharpened, that was the moment I stopped being managed. I didn't win. I didn't lose. I ended something that was feeding on me. Now, when I look in the mirror, I see someone quieter, harder to manipulate, harder to read. Someone who understands that love without respect is just another form of control. I didn't walk away angry. I walked away awake. And once you see the truth, You don't ever go back to the house where you learned how deep the lie really was.